Well, hello, YouTubers. Hey, I got another stick for you today, and see what it looks like to start with. It's a fairly straight stick, and it's around 57 inches now. I have a new idea for this stick, and I hope you'll stay with me and see what it looks like. Well, now to get started, I got my dust extractor hooked up on my angle grinder. Going to get my goggles on. And it's very important to keep safety goggles of some sort anytime you're grinding, and any debris at all has the possibility of getting in your eyes. They're the only eyes you're going to have. And also protect your lungs as need be. Don't hurt to wear a dust mask too. It just gives you some extra protection. And the lungs are worth protecting in any way you want to go. Now this dust extractor, as we've seen before, I can do rough grinding or finish sanding or anything in my shop now, and it don't make a big mess. You're going to see me get it roughed out, and then I'm going to go to a 120 grit on an angle grinder and get it finished. Then we'll just get on with the project. Okay, here we are. Got it kind of roughed out here. I'll get started with the 120. Be right back and show you what that looks like. Hey, yeah, it's near deer season. See, I got a little fuzz on my face. We're going to go out there and take some pictures. Now, many of you are going to start thinking that, oh, this is just going to be another black stick. But this, yeah, it's turning black, all right. Stay with me here a little bit, and you'll see that it's not just going to be another ordinary black stick. Now this is Sunshine Black. It's an India ink. I'm going to try to make it super glossy. We're going to go all the way to the bottom of this and let it dry real good. There it is. That's covered completely now in this ebony black finish. Just let it dry, and I'll be back and we'll take another look at it. This is going to be very easy to get a nice spiral on here. Now I want this to be about the same width as the tape. So you start your angle, roll it around till you get the, move the camera just a little. You roll this tape around to where your black, or the middle here, is going to be about the same width as your tape. And you can pretty well hold your tape flat down as you go around now. You'll kind of imagine a strip of tape in between. Don't have to be exact, but try to get it about the same. Anybody can do this. You can put a nice spiral, any spiral way that you want, and as far down on the stick as you want. I'm only going to go down to where the stick starts to get small in the diameter. And right here, we'll start kind of turn it around and get it sealed off here straight. So that's as far as it's going to go. And just peel your tape off. Now we're going to go back to the carving bench, and I'm going to carve this out all the way around like this. Let's get the carving done first, and then we'll add something to that. Show you how I do these spirals. Cuts all burr. Now I'm going to leave the tape. I want to carve all the way down that edge of the tape. Just follow the edge of the tape, and it's going to be on this side. And what you want to do is get that on both sides. Let's get it started and see what it looks like. Stop and take a look at this now. I kind of did a bullet point. That's where I started, and where I ended up, I want to do about the same thing down here. But you see, I just wanted to make a nice clean spiral all the way down on the one side of the tape. And it don't have to be deep, but it has to be about the same. And it's about the same width all the way down. And that's just dragging about the width, and you keep moving your bit up and dragging it back and being careful not to get into the black here. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to get up here and start straight up even with that and come all the way down with the same trench, and we'll see what happens. Now I think we're done with what we want to do. Did you notice as I went along, I have a little boo-boo right here, and I can fix that. And then I had one more, I remember, right in here, and we can fix that. This should peel right off, and you see that's leaving a double spiral all the way around. I'm going to get all this tape off of here. The next thing, I'll grab a little brush and get our ink back, and we will touch that up a little bit. We're going to take a fine brush, and I'm going to put a little bit of that ink back here. Let's get that little spot and look for these spots. Dust it off like this, make sure it's fairly clean again. I think that's good enough. Now, I wouldn't recommend using this black ink without gloves on. If you don't mind having black on your paws, that would work out just fine. I'm going to go ahead, follow that spiral all the way around here until I get to my first one. That's right there. So I'm going to take a little bit on my brush, and I'm just going to gently go up to that. We'll fill that in nicely there. Now I'm going to go head around until another spot shows up. There it is right there. So let's stop, run that right down to the edge. Maintain that sharp edge that you created with the Dremel. And there we got it. That'll dry and blend in. Now we go around again. Don't see any white spots on that at all, or light colored wood at all. So we lay that down gently, take a quick look overall, and we're about ready to do something else with this. Now we see we're back on the bench and getting ready to put a final finish coat, and I want it to be a highly shined piece, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to do that with the gloss finish Waterlux. So get some of that on your brush, and let's just start putting it on. And before you get started, I want to show you something. I want to get you an eye hook in the end of it. I hang these upside down to dry. Company says it's about 4 hours dry time, and it'll dry, but you need to let it go about 24 hours between coats. And it's very, very glossy. I think this black is going to be really nice on this. I have what we call a hanging room there in the back, and it's another little assembly room that I have, and it's dust free. It's away from all this sawdust, and that's what I use to hang these wet sticks in. I'm going to give it about 3 coats now, and then we'll be back and see what it looks like. I've just mixed up a batch of the black silicone powder, and it is just black with a little bit of sparkle in it. And I put 3 heaping popsicle sticks full. See, like that. I'm sorry I didn't make the video on that, and I got it mixed up ready to pour. Now I'm going to put my other glove on here, and then and this is the ornament that or the embellishment that I'm going to put on the top of that ebony stick that I made. Have an extra here just in case we have some left over. So I'm going to pour this in here and fill this one up. This is going to make a crystal black, not transparent at all. And I will fill this one up. We'll have another one for another little stick. Yeah, it's going to fill that up too. So I'm trying not to overfill it, because you have to squeeze them just a little when you put them in the pressure pot. And I don't like for it to run over. Now I have a little bit of black left, which I could pull one of these out. That's a little smaller yet. Let's just go ahead and fill that one up. So I'm going to put these in a pressure pot, and we're going to open them up in the morning and they'll be ready to put on the stick, because I'm sure our stick is going to be shiny, shiny, shiny in the morning. Let's turn our attention to the embellishments for this stick. We will first turn the air off here. Open up the valve to get rid of all the pressure. So I have an off valve here. And let's just turn the top back here and here. No pressure on it. So we can just unscrew it any way we want to. And then set this lid temporarily up here. Now remember, when we put them in here, I put 3 different sizes. That one, and, oh yeah, there's the bottom, and that small one. Now we put the lid, set it right back on top for the next one. And we'll come around and we'll take a look at these. Clean tablecloth on there so they show up a little better. Now let's just look at the small one and get it peeled back to get it started. And just start rolling it right back. Don't want to let it get away from you. I'll lay it down on the table and then turn that back right side out. Look at that nice little ball there. That didn't have to be polished a little bit on that end. Let's see how this one's done. Some of them rolls a little better than the others. Wow. That might be all right. It's got a little indentation there on top, see? But that's the bottom of the mold. I had it turned around wrong. Now hopefully this one will be right. This is the one we want to use, and we'll just roll it right on off of there. That's the way they're supposed to come out of the mold. Now, right on top of the ball is perfectly round, and that's the flat there. That'll go down on top of the stick. So that is our embellishment for today. I'll leave these molds aside here now, and those will be future projects. Lay this stick over here, and you see it's going to fit right on top of that stick. First thing I'm going to do is get a 1/4 drill in the end of that gun. Hold my arm back away from it for safety's sake, and it's plenty deep enough. Now we're going to go over, take that same drill, go over to the drill press, and we'll drill a hole right in there. And see, I took a wooden clamp block and I've closed that up, and you see I've made a V in the middle here. These are about 3/4 this way. But what those are for is to hold your block. I'll open that up just to let that down in there. Now, that'll hold that square while I drill that hole. This, you want to eyeball that and get that flat as you can, and then get it centered up here, or have a punch mark right there in the center. Let's just drill that out. Now we got the stick drilled out, 1/4 dowel. I measured that to be about 7/8 in there total. And see, we got a dowel sticking out there. And we got this hole here. And we will just turn that till it fits, if it's fitting flat. Let's get the 2-part epoxy, and we'll mix that up and put that together. I'm using a 2-part JB Weld clear weld epoxy. These are 4-ounce tubes, and you have A in one, B in the other, color coded so you don't get the tips mixed up, which you would glue it shut if you did. But you put the equal amounts on this board, put the red cap back on the red bottle, black on the black. You're good to go for the next time. Make sure you fill them snap on there. Now we're going to take a popsicle stick, and I'll just mix that up real well. They say this is 5-minute epoxy. I say it's more like 15 minutes, but it is good stuff. It holds. You would have to break the end of the stick or something would come with it before this ball would come off. I'm going to turn this stick around, and you see I kind of set it up here, ready so I can see down in the hole, and I'll get some on the end of that stick. And I'll put the dowel right in that hole that I just filled, and we'll put some more, and that epoxy will be up and all around that stick, or the dowel pin there. Might not be able to see that, but I turn the stick over to where I'll make sure I get the very top of it. There it is. Make sure you get this complete top around here and that stick covered. Now, turn my attention to the ball here, and I'm going to scrape it up here, and I am going to do the same thing. I'll let some more go in that hole, and I'll smear this around pretty good. Now I know that all my contact surfaces are full, and I'll just stick it on there. And again, we fit that while ago, so we'll turn it to where, and you'll see the glue start to come out. Now, here I sacrificed part of my tablecloth by just going around that and wiping that down a little bit. And now check that there's no gap all the way around that. There's no gap. And want to make sure that all the overrun, the epoxy is not running down the stick. Now we're going to set that aside and let it dry for 15 minutes. Next thing we want to do is to get us a wrist strap on this. Tools you're going to need is, if you're using 5/32 paracord, which I have here, then you want to use 11/64, just a little bit bigger so it'll go in there. And right at your ends where this point comes out here, I want to drill 2 holes. You don't want to drill all the way through the stick. Let's just drill 2 at the base of those points. You drill those in there like that. After you get the holes drilled up here, when they come down here at this end, drill a couple holes at this point right here. And we'll do the same thing as we did up there. We just get us a nice hole, 3/8 inch, no matter how deep it is. Now we got those done, and we'll get the paracord out, and I'll show you how that works. We're wanting 2 strands about the same length here, so I'm going to take my Dremel torch here. You can use a match or a grill lighter, works good. Point that off to a little point there, and you can get that right in there. Now run that around until you get down to where you want. I want it to stop right there somewhere. You have that laying at the top. And right here, we want to go up about 12 inches more from my hand here. Right here, I got a hold of it. At least a foot or better. And I'm going to cut it off right there. Okay, now I want 2 pieces like that, so I'm going to go ahead and cut the other one. Bear with me here, we'll get this in short order. Now the 2 pieces, we'll lay them aside. We can burn both ends, has to start up there, so both ends going to have to be burnt sooner or later, so we can go ahead and do that. For just one end has to be burnt. You might have a better way of doing that, but I just pull it apart like that. Now I have that so it'll go right in that hole in a minute. Now we do the same thing here to this one. another piece of paracord, and I'm going to burn the end of it. We need 4 pieces. That's burn off now. And we go down and slip this oil down to this end here. Stick that in that hole, and then I'll start wrapping this around. Wrap this up. Okay, there's for these 2 holes. That's where we started, and that's where we're stopping here at this hole. Hold your finger there and get about another foot or so, and we'll cut that one. Just unroll that, pull it loose. We want 2 that length, and there it is. So we'll cut that one, and that's all we need. This type of wrap don't waste anything off of a roll, because you're getting the exact length you want each time. We have 2 pieces about the same length, and we'll go ahead and burn these ends. You don't have to watch me burn all 4 ends, but all 4 ends has to be burnt like this. I'll put these long ones aside. Now here's my short ones. Now we're ready to put these in, but this time we're going to mix some 2-part epoxy on my cardboard here, and we are going to epoxy them in. We're going to just weld them in there like they've never been welded before. So we want two puddles there that's about the same size, and I'm using this JB Weld 2-part epoxy that really works well. I get it in 4-ounce bottles. There's what it looks like. But in 4-ounce bottles, they go a long way. Dry, crystal clear, wherever you use it. It's a 5-minute epoxy, so-called. They say just mix it well. You have to make sure it's mixed, or it'll stay sticky the rest of your life. Now I want to pick up just a little bit of that on a stick to let it drip and run right into that hole. Just like that. And we'll get that in right there. And I'll smear it back just a little bit. Get that glue down in that trough just a little bit. Okay? So you got it down the hole. I want to stick that right down in that hole. And I want to turn it. And this time we'll start rolling it around. But this time it's in a whole nest of glue right there. And it's going to glue itself to the stick there. And we'll go right on down to where we were before, right here. I just use these starters as a starting point. But see, that's there, and that's that'll dry in a little bit. But we want to leave that in touch right where it's at. And I want to take another one now and get it started. And I want to stick it right down that hole. And then as you press it down when you first get it started, and so it has a chance to dry right in that hole. And it got a little bit below the hole, see, so it's gonna weld itself right in that groove. And that one's coming out already, but we'll take care of that in the end here. And I want these both to stop. They're going to be right together sooner or later. So now you got about your foot sticking out here, which is what we wanted. And temporarily, we can just keep on rolling them around so they stay out of the way, because they're going to roll up anyway. So I'm just going to wrap it around the painter's tape to lock it together there, and this is just temporary. So we'll be turning the stick again here in a minute. I want to turn my attention back to these two. I got one end burnt on each end here. If you act fast there, you might be able to get both holes when you get that right down in that groove. But just run your little tail down in there. Make sure there's enough down that hole to hold it real tight. Now we got that glue in the hole there, so we want to stick this down in that hole and want to start bend it over there, and there you go. That ought to do pretty good there. Now, let's just start wrapping. You can twist your stick, but I would just Make sure it's in that, follows that same groove. Don't let it jump into a different groove. Make it go into that same groove all the way around. So let's go wind this up to right up into, I think that's actually the top of the other. That's where that one's going to be. To be on the safe side, I'm going to tape this one down so it don't come unraveled. We've got that securely in that hole, and it's drying. And we stick that right in that glue hole, and get it going that direction, and stick it right down in there, just like that. And if you follow that track around now, it's going to go right on back up and lay in there beside of that other one, and it's going to look like that. No glue necessary. Now we'll tighten this up again later. We're going to let that glue dry. So there we are that's where we're going to want to end up at. So I am going to wrap this around a few times, and I'm going to get a section of that painter's tape again, and we will put around that so it don't take off, unravel or something there. And I'm going to let it cure for about 15 minutes, and then I'll be back finishing up on the wrist strap. Okay, it's been drying a while. And all we're doing now is just taking this tape off. And I say, tape's kind of hard to find in, but that old paper tape comes off pretty easy. So we're going to unravel this thing, and want to get it tight now, get all the slack out of it, and it comes down to that hole. Now I want to make sure that hole's burnt. I may not show the burning on every one of these, but that's what you got to do to each one of them. Now when that comes around, we'll pull this down through that hole, and it come out over here somewhere, and then we'll get this one, make sure it stays in there pretty snug. It's real easy. What you do, you come all the way around here where this lines up with this hole right here, and then stick it down through that hole. Now this time, this one should be coming around and finding its own hole. See, that one's going down in that hole, and this one will take off in a hole right beside of that one. Now we get it up on the other side here. Now we got two of them coming out over here, and we'll tie them in a knot. Okay, that a kind of hole. We'll have to tighten that back up. But now turn your attention down to these ends, and what I want to do is to avoid the same trick is to go around one at a time here. This one, just let it loop around the way it wants to, but make sure it follows that same groove and pretty tight into here, all the way down. This is going to be securing that one. It'll start running from that one, okay? Now, we go down and get this other one and get it started in the same groove. And it's already out of pocket where it wants to be. There's that one. Bring it around all the way up here. But I'm in that same groove. You trace that all the way back to where that comes into that hole. If that makes sense. You look at that. It'll make a little more sense once we look at it here. Pull that up tight. Now you got two. They met each other right here in the middle. Now I'm going to make sure that they're secure and tight here now, laying in that right same groove all the way around, and they're pretty snug in there so they don't jump out. Now we come back and tie us a square knot right in that. So, okay, we got a square knot in that now. And we got to turn around and get this one all snugged up again. Make sure it's snug in there real good, both of them all the way around. And we want to tie a square knot again in this one. That is a square knot. Now what we want to do is take these two, put this through here and this through there, and we'll tie a slip knot right in there. And then we'll tie another square knot. And these two can come up, and we'll tie another square knot. Now let's take your hands, take these, all four of these loops here, paracord, and get your two longest ones out like this, and you want to use them to tie a slip knot here. We'll make that right about there and pull it down, make that come out right in there. Okay, now look at this one. This is your two that slips in and out right here. Get a hold of these up here and tie a knot. Well, both strands doubled and a double knot there. And just bear down on it, get it tight. Each one of them tight as they'll go. So we got that. So that slides back and forth on that knot right there. Turn our attention to this one. We want to make sure that that knot don't go anywhere. So just tie that again and run that knot way on down tight against that one. We don't want any space between it at all. We want that to bundle up right there. Okay? Now I'm going to get my burner and I'll show you what we do that. Now we got my burner here. There's the two knots. I want to get the flowers, and I want to cut that off real close. Leave just maybe an eighth of an inch sticking out is what I'm sticking out there. Looks like a dog chewed that off. Okay, now I'm going to take both of these knots, and you burn the end of them. Like that. Don't touch it, that's hot. I wouldn't recommend that. Just flatten that knot out around there. Now we'll take this one, I'm gonna burn it the same way. Just where you cut it off. Get it good and hot there. And that'll just weld that right down there where that knot don't come loose. I'll give it a few seconds, get it cool, let it cool off. Now you have a slip knot in there, you can get a hold of that and slip your arm right in there anytime you want to. And that won't come up, that won't come loose because it won't come back through those knots. And there you have it. Well, it looks to me like I have another walking stick to show off here now. I'm going to start out right at the top with this resin ball that I put on it. Go right on down with a spiral, double spiral carving. It has a paracord laying right in that twist all the way down. Now, there's a twist up here, as you've seen in the video that earlier how I did that, but has the effect of a vine maybe that made that twist in there out of a normal stick that you might find. Now, it goes all the way down, gets smaller down at the end. It's about 3/4 of an inch on one end, and it's 1 1/4 up the other end. It's a fairly light stick. So if you like this video, I want you to click that subscribe button, and if you really liked it, I want you to get your thumbs up. All this helps my video to grow my channel, and I appreciate all of you. I'd like to say also that I appreciate all the prayers for my wife, Susan. She was diagnosed last Christmas for lung cancer. We need to keep the prayers coming. And I have one more thing to say. I'll see you in the next video.